This is Jordan Edwards, and this is the Business Jiu-Jitsu Podcast. Good afternoon, living legend, Bas Rutten.
Oh, hallelujah. Look at my new smile.
There he is.
I'm missing a tooth here. If people are going to go, does he miss a tooth? Yeah, they pulled it last week. I made a video and I posted it. I called my wife, by the way. I couldn't speak. My whole mouth was like this. I go, dude, this is hilarious. So I got to post something. So that's what it is.
Well, here it is, breaking news.
Breaking news. Bas Rutten.
The title of the podcast will be Almost Perfect, with the exception of a tooth.
One tooth. I could put a tic tac there. The one of those big ones from Home Alone, right? Was that a movie, Home Alone? When he put the tic tac, yeah, right? With the neighbor.
Well, for the 2 or 3 people that wouldn't possibly know you, so for mom and dad, because everyone else who listens to this podcast is going to know exactly who you are, but you are a legend in martial arts. You are a multiple-time Pancrase champion, UFC champion, kickboxing world champion, actor, on-screen personality. You are one of the most important people in modern martial arts, and I have no qualms in saying that. You brought martial arts into people's homes over the past couple of decades through your TV shows, and over the weekend I had a chance to go see The Smashing Machine, and you were amazing, alongside The Rock and the rest of the team. Emily Blunt, she is, special.
Yeah, crazy, right? Yeah, I thought so too. Both of them were amazing.
Ryan Bader too. Wow, what an acting performance.
I told him, I said, dude, you might have a job out of this. You're really good, you know. Yeah. I told him already when we were on the set, because I showed, like, Benny Safdie, the director, he was already cutting, like editing, just on his computer, so he had an idea what he was going to do. You know, and the next day he came with the scenes already put together. I don't know where he found the time because that guy's so busy. Mm-hmm. But I go, dude, freaking Ryan, man, you're doing good. This is awesome. So it's going to be nice.
Yeah. I'm happy to give Benny Safdie a shout out. His mother, Amy, is one of our amazing friends and customers in my fashion business, Mixology Clothing Company. So Amy is his mother is super close with my whole team. She stops by our store in Manhattan on an almost daily basis. I've known her for many years, and she's very, very proud of both her boys, but their exploits. And this was an exciting one that they were working on this movie.
Yeah, for a long time. I spent some time with Benny, and man, what a character that guy is. He's amazing. He showed me his first movie he made on his laptop, you know, like just with an old camera at the gas station. It was hilarious, you know, but then you see that was the first thing he did, and then boom, suddenly he's here. Amazing personality. Everything he does, the music, whatever. If he hears a song, I came up with this song, Beautiful People. But the first I heard that song from Melody, People in the Front Row. It's a very weird song. And then somebody played Beautiful People, and then a stunt guy on the set, he put that over a highlight reel of me, Beautiful People, and you see me knocking people out. I go, dude, that's crazy. So Benny loved that song. He said, I put it in a movie. So he loved it so much. Yeah, he's a special guy.
I don't know what genre or era of movies you connect the most with, but I was born in the 80s. And so 90s movies to me are like where it reached its height. And I feel like Benny made a 90s movie today. Like when I watched the movie, I was like, this is a 90s movie.
Yep. No, 100%. I was watching The Running Man last week, and I was watching Time Cop. You know, it's like these old movies like Cobra, you know, Marion Cobretti. Like those were the things, man. Freaking Predator. Those were, I really like those movies. And all these sayings that they had, they're now taken. You know, you can only come up with it once. And, it was a good era. It was a good era. And yes, like you said, it's almost like when you watch the movie, you're with him in the room. You're with him the whole time. That's how intimate he made it.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like I really would advise everyone to go check it out if you haven't already. And you play yourself, and they made the decision to bring you in, even though you were older, playing a much younger version of yourself. It just worked. It worked perfectly. I mean, I guess that's a testament to also the shape that you're in, and just like that you played yourself, but it was great.
25 years ago. Yeah, I was a crazy man. The only thing I didn't do was using profanity. because I stopped doing that like 15 years ago. I go, I'm not going to use it anymore. It's just stupid. Why would I use profanity? And I said, sorry, because I was bad at the time also. So I said, that's the only new part that I'm going to allow, you know. So, and otherwise I would say freaking instead of the F-bomb or something like that. But for the rest, everything was it. I mean, I got the script. He told me, listen, those are the guidelines, but it's you. So do whatever you want to do, you know. So, and then also when teaching moments came, I just didn't tell him what I was going to do. This way, I really had to teach it to him and really had to understand it. And so that's why I was most of the time the first take was it. We just took it because it was natural, you know. And he made it so natural because he was just Mark Kerr. I'm telling this in interviews. We saw it like 2 months ago on a TV on the movie theater here. They screened it for the family. Only the family is allowed, so it's really weird. Like the only three in the theater. And my wife was freaking out. She goes, "Oh my God!" I go, "What?" She goes, "It's him. He's Mark." I go, "Yeah, right? He's just Mark. The way he spoke, walked, everything he did, and that made it much easier for me because it was literally go back in time."
I mean, the way that they were able to recreate some of the scenes and the emotion from the documentary was crazy. I mean, it was like, it was just so well done. I'm so proud, you know, for the martial arts community to have a movie like this. And and thank you to The Rock and Benny and everybody who was in. Thank you. Really proud of it from the community. And my wife, who does not like violence, and it was a violent movie, she was walking out of there singing all their praises, you know, singing all of you guys and talking about it. And I was like, that dude. And I said, Ryan Bader, he's not an actor. Well, he is now. He's a UFC champion. So just really cool. So Bas, if you don't mind, maybe you could just kind of take us back and tell us like how you came into martial arts. I know you have a crazy story, and just if you could give me a little abbreviated version on how we got to it, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, just you know, the same old, right? You bullied as a kid, had a horrible skin disease. I was the leper in school. That's what they called me. And needless to say, you know, at a certain moment, you start getting very angry about that. I had also severe asthma attacks, weak in bed, not able to eat, not able to do everything. I had to do everything in bed for a week. And that was just, you know, that went on for years in a row. And needless to say, I got bullied a lot. But then a Bruce Lee movie, Enter the Dragon, I saw when we were taking a vacation in Holland, in France. And that was it. I thought, hey, if I can become like that guy, I'm going to knock the bullies out. So it took me 2 years to convince my parents. Finally, they allowed me. I was training with the adults, so the adult took me under his wing. And he told my parents, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be good. I'm watching from these adults. You're going to take care of him. He's one of us, you know. And then in months, I started beating the adults, some of them, you know. And that was it. I overheard them talking about me in the dressing room and laughing about it. Like I dropped another guy with a back kick to the body or something like that. And man, the kid got a lot of talent. And that was it. Then suddenly I got into a street fight with my biggest bully from my school. I shouted something back this time. Hey, leper. They were on bicycles. They passed me. And I shouted something back. And sure enough, they started to chase me. So I put my bike on the stands. And I told myself, this is it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to face it now. And then they surrounded me with the bikes. And Shaki came and he hit me, leper, hit me. I go, okay. And that was it. It was literally one punch. And it was out. But the nose was broke. So he had to go to the hospital. That meant the police was called. And they showed up at my mom and dad's doorstep, confirming, because they always thought it was violence, that it was violence. Now, I always say this because it's important to know for the people. Like my mom and dad didn't know that I was bullied. I always kept it under the wrap because my mother had an enormous amount of time on work with me. I mean, she had to put creams on me every night. I put freaking bandages around me. Family members would send in old bed sheets that they would rip to bandages. And I would scratch it off in the middle of the night because it would hit so bad. And then she had to do it again. So this went on for years, you know. So if I would have told her that, you know, I figured I'm going to break her heart. So I never said anything. But that was it.
How old were you during that time in your life?
14. 14 is when I knocked him out. That was also around the time that slowly but surely it started going away. It wasn't as prominent. I didn't have to wear the gloves anymore. I would have spots everywhere. If you see me fight in Pancras in 93, you'll see spots here and there still. You know, so over the years, and then when I moved to America, then actually when California, it completely disappeared. So I think it was the weather also.
Yeah.
And had to do so, and allergies and all that stuff. I pet a dog and that's it. I asked the next day, if I pet a dog for 20 minutes, the next day I'm a week in bed. Asthma attack, like the most insane asthma attack. Like I said, not able to eat because I can't breathe. So that was it, But then I started getting interested, in martial arts. So I started slipping into classes. They kicked me out again. But I was always really good what I can see I can do. So I was going to the bibliothèque, we say, library. And then books from Bruce Lee, and I just memorized everything. And then I just started. Everybody thought I was a black belt already, because I was doing these kicks and these side kicks that Bruce Lee did in front of a face. And I say, "You sure want to fight?" I was just bluffing. They thought, "Oh my God, he's a black belt." But I wasn't. I was just imitating Bruce Lee. And it worked. All the kids that got bullied in school, I took care of those problems too for these poor kids. I just started going after everybody. And then at 21, I think I moved out of the house. And I started doing Taekwondo. A form of Taekwondo was that. But within 3 months, I wanted to compete. And Taekwondo was not full contact. I wanted to go full contact. So I started Thai boxing on the side.
Yeah.
And I think within 2 months of Thai boxing, I had my first match. And that's how it started. I started Thai boxing from the time.
Was Thai boxing part of the culture where you grew up in Europe?
Yeah, it's big. In Holland, it's big. Like the K1 championship.
Yes.
I think it's won one time by a foreigner, and the rest from the last 15 whatever years, it's Dutch. They're all Dutch. And the final 8, they fight all year. All the best fighters on the planet, they fight all year for the tournament in December. And many of those times, all these 8 were all Dutch.
Yeah.
So bad though that guys who were born there, but they had a Moroccan origin, they said, "Come up with the Moroccan flag, and come up with the Turkish flag, come up," because they go like this. It's Dutch the whole time. We're just blessed with, soccer and fighting, kickboxing. That was one of our things in Holland. If you want to kickbox, just every week fights everywhere. So in bars, they put a ring in the bar, and then they ask people money in little places. That's where I fought, so that's how you get experience.
So you got exposure to that world. It was widely available. You healed, I guess we could say. Do you think that the martial arts training had anything to do with it? Do you think, was there a connection in any way? Did they ever give you a diagnosis?
Yeah, it will, but it's the asthma. We know I was taking a lot of medications, a lot of inhalers, a lot of all that stuff, and then it goes hand in hand. If my asthma is really bad, then my skin would look good, and if my skin is really bad, I would never have asthma. So every kid there's many kids out there, I have to say, because I've been in contact with a lot of freaking parents over the last 25 years. I literally have I copy and paste the form, and I say, "This is what I did," because they all ask me, "How did you get out of it?" I say, "Well, this is it." After writing it 3 times, I go, "I put it in a file," so I can just simply forward the file to these people. So, I think it changed, especially for the lungs. It worked. That was actually with the trainer that I came up. That was after an asthma attack. If I would resume my track and field, I was doing track and field at a high level already.
Yeah.
Very young. Very good high jump, long jump, everything. Decathlon. That was my. That's it. Actually, that's where I started.
So funny. When I was brushing up on things about you, I came across this on the internet. I ordered one for my own training, and I'm so happy to learn about this product you have called the O2 Trainer. This is the Business Jiu-Jitsu Podcast, after all. So I see that you're not only are you an actor and a martial artist, but you're an entrepreneur as well. Can you tell me about this journey that you had to making this product?
Yeah, so like I said, after an asthma attack, I would resume my track and field. I wanted to become the next, the Dutch Bruce Jenner at the time, right? Bruce Jenner, now known, of course, as Caitlin. He was the 1976 gold medalist decathlon, and that was my thing. Everything good, shot put, javelin, discus, long jump, high jump. I was pretty much good at everything, but of course the 400 meters, still got 800 and 1500 were hard for me because since my asthma. And I would, if I had an asthma attack and I would resume my track and field after the attack, my running times, every single time I broke them. And it freaked me out. And then I'm looking around if I can't find something. There's probably something on the table here. I've got to find it in a bit. So I went to a doctor's office. I spent a lot of time at the doctor's. And I saw a drawing of a pair of lungs at the wall. And it showed an infected bronchial tube. And it showed a healthy bronchial tube next to it. And that was it. I go, oh, shoot. I've been working out my lungs. That's what I thought at the time, that your lungs were doing the work, but they don't. But we'll go into that later. Been working out with resistance. So now when the infection is gone, they're much stronger. So it's easier for them to pull air in. Why don't I come up with something that controls my air intake? And let me show you. See? So this was pretty much another plastic. There were the metal versions, washers, bolts and washers. And then I put this right to it. And I start breathing through it. And then every week I would take a smaller size hole. Now, for people at home, never ever do that, because it's very dangerous. If it bypasses your trachea, it shoots in the lung, that's it. You're dead. There's nothing they can do. You'll die on the spot. So don't do that. For the people who always say, I use a straw, I can make it yourself. Don't. Use your fist. If you don't want to buy an auto trainer, you can do everything on your fist. And just the harder you squeeze, the less resistance you have. So you don't have to buy it, but you can simply do it on your fist. But do not use a freaking straw or this thing, because you're going to die. You're going to shoot. Dangerous. Don't do that. So, but that was it. And it was in my idea for a long time in my head. And I told everybody about the Ruttenizer. That was the idea officially, the name of the model. But then I thought, who knows Rutten, right? Yes, the martial artists know Rutten, but for the rest of the world, who the heck's Bas Rutten? So then I came up with the O2 trainer. I made that thing in 2011. I still was carrying an inhaler with me everywhere I went in the world. Wow. I had to. If I would sneeze violently, I had to open up my lungs. Every fight, every workout, before I start, I have to use the inhaler. And 3.5 weeks with the prototype, it was gone. I don't even own a inhaler anymore. So I sent it to my buddy in Holland, and I told who I know has asthma, but I didn't tell him what I was going to do for him. And he called me back 8 days later. He says, dude, I don't use my inhaler anymore. I go, man, we're up to something. That's when I realized I didn't invent this whole thing. It's inspiratory muscle training, but the way it was so simplistic made that I had to patent, because everybody tries to be technical and all these things. It needs to be with apps. Not me. I don't believe in that. I believe it results really fast. And if it's easy, you can throw this thing against the wall. Nothing can happen. Make it easy, carry it with you. And that was it, and then it was very hard to bring on the market. But then I got in contact with Joey Diaz, the comedian, actually set me up with one of the best breathing experts in the world, Belisa Vranic. And I went to her office on Fifth Avenue at the time in New York. And the first thing she did was measuring my chest expansion. And she started laughing, said, that's not possible, do it again. And then she did it again, and she says, wait. And she walked out, and she came back with another doctor. And I always say this, I say, it's either really bad or really good, right? It's one of the two. And she goes, it's insane. You're like, normally when they beat our expansion record is by an eighth of an inch, you almost went 2 inches further than everybody else. I go, like, why is that? And I had the old model of this one, the first one. I go, I use this thing. So she started using it, immediately felt the benefits, put it in a book, and now it started catching fire. Then I got in contact with the trainer who trained even Usain Bolt at a few times when he was here. And he's also using inspiratory muscle training. He says, Bas, you don't have to work out with this thing. You can do these breathing exercises. And Belisa Vranic almost showed me the breathing exercises. And now we found out these breathing exercises to attack your front breathing muscles and your back breathing muscles. Now, I go in really fast because people at home right now, because trust me, I was exactly the same. Breathing muscles, right? Your lungs don't do anything. They're just two bags. Yeah. There's no muscle in the lung. If you can't expand your chest, you die. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. So I always tell people your chest doesn't expand because you put air in it. Your chest expands, and that is how you pull the air in. Now it's really weird. Well, okay, so how do we increase our chest expansion? By your diaphragm and by your intercostals, the muscles in between the ribs. And the chest expansion. So imagine your lungs are glued to the inside of your body. It doesn't work like that. I will tell you in a moment, but just for a visual, they're glued to the inside of your body. And if you expand your chest, that's how you open your lungs. And that's how you squeeze them up. Now, the chest expansion, of course, is the diaphragm. Like I said, that's the bigger mover. And I got this thing right there. It's literally what they say. A thin, dome-shaped muscle tendon that looks like a ball cap. Literally like this.
Wow.
This bottom part, imagine this bottom part is attached to the lower part of your rib cage.
Yep.
And what the diaphragm does, it drops down. This is what it does. But for that angle, you don't see a lot. But from this angle, now you see what it does inside your body, right? It expands inside your body. And that body expansion creates a vacuum between your body and the lungs. And that vacuum, that is what opens up your lungs. And then exhaling is, of course, you're done with your core and your internal intercostal muscles that squeeze all the air out. But the most important one are the inspiratory muscles. And like I said, your external intercostals do it as well. So the more you expand your chest, the more air you can put in your lungs. Why is that important? Because a lot of bodybuilders, and we saw this in the UFC coming in the beginning, right? They're all freaking massive, but they have stamina for 2 minutes. Why? Because they were using so much roids, all these muscles starts pumping up, and now everything gets tight. Now the diaphragm needs to work really freaking hard in order to expand that chest because all these muscles are tight. So therefore you see him going strong and then poof, suddenly completely gone with stamina. That's why I never believe with steroids. And they said, did you ever use steroids in fighting? I said, no, I didn't. And you know why I didn't? Because when I was 20, I think, we saw Schwarzenegger, Stallone. We wanted to be monsters too. And we tried that. This was before I started kickboxing and martial arts. So I gained weight, and then I got introduced to martial arts, to a gym, and we had a rope skip. I couldn't rope skip. My muscles were blowing up so hard. They got so tight from the stupid steroids. I go, dude, this works against it. I should never use that crap. And that's why I always thought, don't use it. I think it's actually bad for you because it makes everything tight. But hey, some people do, some people don't, I guess. With me, it wasn't so. And thankfully, because now I can say, my whole career, I didn't use any PEDs. And I guess they can put me on a lie detector test. This is the fun part also. I'm 203 pounds right now, and everybody thinks I'm using, and I'm 208 now. So for the last 35 years, 28 years, I've been exactly the same weight, 5 pounds heavier, but that's about it. Yeah. But okay, so let's go back to
let me come back for 1 second. I want to share my screen again because I want to make this clear for the people who are listening along on this journey with us. We are talking about Bas's product. It's o2trainer.com, the letter O, the number 2, trainer.com. And to describe this, it's a breathing device that you put in your mouth. It almost looks like a mouth guard with a tube. And then there's a series of gaskets at different sizes. That's how Bas said, don't put the metal gasket in his mouth like he did. And then each one of these gaskets, looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like about 15 to 18 different sizes. And you use this as a trainer to increase your lung capacity, I imagine.
Yes. So what happens is you're going to work out your breathing muscles. It's weight training for your breathing muscles. And as I mentioned, the breathing muscles are your diaphragm and the intercostals, which, by the way, together are 11 pounds. That's average human being. 11 pounds of breathing muscle. That's a lot. Yeah. So when I tell people what that does for you, well, think about this. How does your stamina increase? What is the reason that you're getting better if you work out really hard? Because that's what we're doing. But what happens inside your body? Why would your stamina increase? It's got to have a reason, right? Yeah, you do it over and over again. Yes, exactly. If you work out a muscle over and over again, that muscle becomes more efficient at its job. And the word efficient already says it. It uses less oxygen. Oh, okay, good. What is metaborflex? That's the big word for gassing. I always explain it the same. Sorry for the people at home, but that's the easiest one. Imagine you're running a hill, a very steep incline hill, and suddenly it feels like you hit the wall. Boom, what happens? You're gassing. What happens at that moment? It's your body. It starts redirecting the oxygenated blood. It will take it away from your legs. But wait, Bas, I'm running. Why would it take it away? Because it sends it to the number 1 priority in your body, which are your breathing muscles. 3 minutes without oxygen, you're dead. 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. That's the survival rule of 3. Number 1 rule is breathing. So that oxygenated blood stealing, and I always mention this, it's a medical term, actually. You will find this in published medical journals. It takes it to your breathing muscles. Oh, wait, go back. You just said if I work out a muscle over and over again, it becomes more efficient at its job. So why don't I work out those 11 pounds of breathing muscles that I have so they don't have to steal that blood anymore from my limbs that I'm using at that time? And bada bing, bada boom. And that's what I say. That is bingo. That's the reason why every Olympian endurance athlete is using inspiratory muscle training. If Usain Bolt is doing it, and as 400 meters is the longest run he has, you should start thinking about getting more oxygen. But not just that, COPD, cystic fibrosis. I just had a guy with lung emphasis. I don't know if I pronounced that well. It's a podcast on my site. That guy had 1.3 liters left from his 6 liters. Lee is his name, Lee Fogel. And he heard about weight training for your breathing muscles, start working out with it. He's got his 6 liters right now. They gave him up. They said you have to start preparing because within 2 years you're going to be dead. So he's a big believer. I just interviewed him like 6 weeks ago or something. I bet on his podcast.
Pulling it up right now, and I'll link to that also.
So yeah, that's pretty much what it does. So anything lung-related problems, and think about this: we all breathe wrong, right? And people go like, "Dude, I've been breathing since I came out of the womb." Yes. Okay. Stand in front of the mirror. Take the deepest breath you can get. That's the guy. And when you breathe like this, you raise your shoulders, you're completely breathing wrong. Don't worry, I was breathing wrong in my world title fight. You see me breathing like this. 95% of the people is breathing wrong. 95. They all raise their chest, their shoulders. 4 to 6 of these breaths pulls in the same amount of air as one diaphragmatic breath. This thing will force you to use your diaphragm. You have abs. You should see my freaking. I never do abs.
Is this like Hicks and Gracie style breathing where he's, you know what I'm talking about?
Well, that's but imagine he's doing that and it's really good and his breathing technique is really good. You got the Buiteco technique, but Lisa Vernon's got their own technique. You got there's so many, Wim Hof. You got all these breathing techniques will all become better when you work out because they don't work out the breathing muscles. This works out those breathing muscles. So whatever technique you're using is going to be better because you're working out. It's like doing biceps without weight. That's what they're doing. They just breathe a lot. Yeah, and eventually, if I do this with my arm, eventually I'm going to get a pump. Yeah, but guess what? If I put a weight in there, now it's going to go faster. And that's what this is, weight training for your breathing muscles.
I'm so excited to give it a try. I'm going to let you know how it goes, and I'm going to do some good videos. So what kind of – you give a series of exercises and breathing patterns to use the machine with?
So people say, I work out with it. You can. You don't need to. If you work out with it, find a setting that you get all the air you need. The dumbest thing that people are doing is working way too hard with a big resistance cap on it. They don't give their body the oxygen that it needs, and that's, of course, never good. That's why they actually high-altitude training, a lot of people don't do that anymore. For monotone sports, it's okay. But if you have to think and doing things like boxing, dude, you're depriving your body from oxygen. So what they do now, they build a high altitude home at sea level. Then the whole team lives in that home, sleeps, does everything in that home except the workouts. They go outside. They have a 100% maximum workout. They go back in, and that way they still spark the red blood cell. That's the newest, latest version of high altitude training.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that, but that's very, very cool. I remember, back in the, I guess not your early days, but a little later, Tito Ortiz days, they'd go up to Big Bear and all those guys were training up there. But you're right, I haven't seen them mention that as much recently.
No, and especially if you imagine, listen, if you go 4 weeks before, 5 weeks, so you can get in there with all the other guys. If you have guys that are already training there for a month and now you have to spar, trust me, man, your reflexes, because you don't have the oxygen. I mean, I went to Colorado to train for the world title fight in the UFC. And I said, I'm just going to do 5 rounds on the back. I couldn't do 5 rounds on the back. Not the way I do it. Like I have to hit everything 100%. I can't do jabs on the back. I have to go. But I couldn't finish it. I go, dude, by snapping. He goes, no, it's a high altitude. Don't worry about it. It's going to go. It will start. You start getting used to it. But you see, at that moment, you get so tired, and then your mind starts slowing down. And now somebody starts setting you up with combinations. You can't see it anymore. Your reflexes are gone. So watch out with it. That's why I always thought, if there's a billionaire, right, this is a great idea for any freaking billionaire, for a very rich person. Build like 10 identical training centers. Like in for instance, in Colorado, one at 1,000 feet, and then to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. And then weekly, you do all your workouts there, you go to the next training center, 2,000 feet high. Now your body can adjust. It doesn't go from 1 to freaking 8,000. It's a big impact, I think. But if you take your time and you go every time you go one gym up, which is 1,000 feet high, maybe you make 5 gyms to do it at 2,000 feet. That's good too. And then finally you finish at the 10,000 feet. Yeah, I think it's a nice way to gradually get used to it. That's with the O2 trainer too. There's also, if you buy this thing and you're doing your exercises and then you start hitting a bag, oh, boss, it works against me. What do you think? You just tired your breathing muscles. It's like me putting 200 pounds in my neck, start doing squats. I walk the stairs now. Okay, this doesn't work. Don't do that. So do it after your workout. 6 weeks in though, then I flip it around. I've been doing it since May 2018, every day. And I post this. You can see the post every day. Little time lapses of the videos I do. I went from a setting number 4, and the time that it took me was, I think, 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And 4 years later, I tried the same setting for fun, and it was 55 seconds. So
Wow.
that was dramatic. It's a 75% increase. It just get more expensive. Yeah. And don't go too fast. Like this is setting number 2, and I've been using it for 8 years. Can I do number 1? If I can, but I'm going to have to struggle. I'm really, because people go, oh, can you make the setting half? I say, you can do 1. I know you can't. Yes, you can, because you think you can. But if you put a clothespin on your nose and you put the O2 in your mouth, if you don't cheat by taking extra air in, you can do it. But I'll guarantee you, listen, if I do it for 8 years and I can't do it, not the correct way, don't do it. And it's not about that. It's about making the diaphragm strong and endurance. Preliminary studies now have been saying that your diaphragm being warmed up is actually your second wind. So when I do a conditioning workout, and I point always here because I'm doing it in my man cave, I just put on my audio tapes, and I start boxing. I'll do it before, because then I don't have a dip. I can just keep going.
Incredible. So you're a fighter, then you start acting. You know, I have one of my great employees, her name is Rebecca Lendino, shout out. And she came up on our retail sales floor. She's not even 30 yet, but she's running our entire business. And we have a very large business. And so it's a huge amount of responsibility for someone who hasn't seen their 30th birthday yet. And she says this thing that I think is so brilliant, that working on the retail sales floor as a teenager taught her how to perform. And that performative experience carried her through her business life and was one of the things that she credits to being able to be such a young and powerful executive. Now, she's also classically trained in business and had incredible mentors, but I'm always fascinated by this ability to perform. And that's clearly something that you have picked up on. And I'm very interested to know if this was something natural to you. I can see the incredible passion you're pitching this product and being an entrepreneur, but I watched it in this media career that you built. Where did this come from? I mean, it doesn't sound like you were in the theater as a kid.
No, I think I was always the class clown, of course, because I didn't get any attention. A lot of kids didn't want to hang out with me. They thought it was contagious, my disease. So, I was the loner. But to still get attention was, making the teachers angry or doing something, that other kids would like. So I was doing always that, but I was also, I woke up very early in the morning. I always like to take very relaxed time, make 1 boiled egg, eat a sandwich. Then I would do theater. I would literally have old music, and I would jump on the couches and sing a song and act like I'm in a play or so. I don't know where it came from. Now I'm all thinking that back because I'm writing.
Are you writing a book? Are you writing a book?
Yeah, but it's a lot of progress because I don't know if some things have to get in or not. It's been crazy. It's so crazy. Okay. But it's always been in my mind, and always been fun. And the friends that I picked were always very outgoing as well. My first Taekwondo teacher, Roland, he was also a guy who was bang, 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 all over the place. And we just clicked right away. And then, we're feeding each other with all that crazy stuff. We start doing comedy shows, like martial arts shows around Europe and Holland. We get a Dutch TV, European TV. We would freaking pump up our bodies. And then we do the choreographed fighting scenes with sticks, with short sticks, long sticks, nunchucks, everything, kicking cigarettes out of the mouth, spinning kicks, coming up with backflips and somersaults, like all that kinds of stuff. People go, dude, this is crazy. We would do it in the break of a big Thai boxing event.
I remember seeing they were comedy videos, right? The comedy martial arts videos.
Yeah, we just started adding comedy suddenly because sometimes something goes wrong and people start laughing. I go to my friend, I go, we should plan that because they can freaking, So then we start planning these things, and that got such a big applause every time. So then we slowly but surely became all comedy. We were at Bercy. This was the biggest martial arts convention in the world. Yeah. And it's in Paris, in Bercy, Paris. And then we come almost at the end. And you have to understand, there's been ninjas for years and decades and samurai and all these people. And we know they're going to come. So we start messing with those arts, at the very end. and the people are dying. They've been seeing for 5-6 hours. Everything is serious, and suddenly we come and we start very serious, but then something goes right away wrong, a trip or something, and then people realize, oh, it's comedy. And then we start messing around with some of these martial arts. They really didn't like it, but the people loved it. I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, it was always in there. I was always that guy. I'm very introvert. You put me in a room in a party and nobody recognizes me. I'm not the guy who actually goes up to somebody and will say, hey, I'm Bas, how you doing? I've never been that guy. But if somebody comes to me, boom, I'm in a conversation, I'm in. But it's very weird. I don't look for it. And then once I get it a little bit, then I go all over the top. I can't shut the hell up. It's really weird how that works. Yeah.
That's so hard for me to believe, just because you have such a magnetic personality, and you've also had so much success across so many different fields. And ultimately that's what my book and this podcast are all about. I know these guys that are so good in the gym, and they come to me and they want to find success in the next thing. They have a little business idea like the O2 trainer, or they want to leave law enforcement and start a t-shirt business, or they want to start flipping homes. And I started sharing with this simple principles of business, but they didn't know anything about business. So I started teaching it to them in jiu-jitsu terms, martial arts terms, things that would be very recognizable to you. And then I see someone like you, and you come from these crazy circumstances, such a hard childhood, and you took this martial arts career but now it's a little bit more reasonable to feel like someone is gonna take their martial arts and take it and do something with it. But back in the day, it was Bruce Lee and Jean-Claude Van Damme, but that was just about it. And here you are, and you're translating it across so many different areas. Do you have a universal truth that you found that has led to some success?
I think it's just hard work. I think it's like my mom and dad. I come from a very loving family. I was the black sheep, of course, because I was getting in trouble because I didn't get attention. Let's get negative attention, right? Still attention. Yes. So I was the kid who got caught for 92 burglaries, and then I got caught for another 50 something. I was 14 when I did that. It was a newspaper. So I was always, but super loving parents. Never had a fight, witnessed a fight between my mom and dad. Not even worse. Like they would go like, no, this is as loud as they would go if there would be a thing, which would happen once every freaking couple of years. But there was never a fight, never a push, never screaming. That we didn't know that. And they always told me, you simply have to work. So when I was young, at 12 or 13, I had a newspaper job, 2 newspaper jobs actually, a weekly and a daily one. And I stocked groceries, worked on the farm. I was a dishwasher at an Italian restaurant. So I did all these things because suddenly I just loved to work for it because then I had money. I asked my mom and dad for a stereo, and people don't know, but in the early days, stereos was you have an amp, then you have a cassette player, then you have a pickup player. It's all different. They didn't have it in one. In the beginning, that was all separated. And then it came with everything except the speakers. Why do I have speakers? Well, if you want speakers, you're going to have to work. And you're going to have to make the money for the speakers. And I hated it at the time. But I think when I went to America, that was maybe when I was when I became UFC champion, I think. Around that age, that's when I literally told my dad.
Fighting for the UFC, that was around 99, 2000? What year did you fight?
But that was the first time I called my dad out of the blue, and I said, hey, I just want to thank you for the way you raised me, with that, letting me work, but I hated it at the time, because right now I can't stop the work, because it's just, and I don't mind if you give me one thing, I'm very crazy with that, man. I'll jump on it, and I'm 100% laser focused, and we'll finish this thing. You ask me if you can do this. If I say yes, now I commit it. Once I commit, there's no going back for me. Otherwise, I should have said maybe, because if I say yes, I'm in. And sometimes that gets me in trouble. It's yes and no. Everything is black and white, and everything, but it's in everything in life. It's like stealing, it's cheating, it's this, it's that, everything. Stealing 1 cent, same as $1 million. No, it's not. Well, you call this stealing, it's the same. So once you start building that, and that's something from the last 15 years when I dove back into the faith, that's when I realized, oh boy, all the judging and all these things, But I still, till that time, I never stole from friends or never stole from people personally. Never. I never ever did that. It was always supermarkets. I broke in, I just take whatever I wanted, and then we would eat from it, whatever. A restaurant, we want steaks, we get the steaks. This is young, right? This is all before I was 17. So, and drinking chocolate milk. They called us the chocolate milk gang, the cops. Which was very stupid of us, because once they caught us for one, they knew all the ones we did, because we always drink chocolate milk at the freaking. So you see, we were kids. We were just kids. But always worked for everything. And I think that, and just work hard. If something goes down, you have to fight yourself out of it. Nowadays, we live in this world that everybody tries to avoid, conflict. And it's the worst thing to do, because in schools too, lowering status, doing all this stuff doesn't get you ready for real. Let the kids bully them. Let them kids bully them in their faces, though. Not online and being weak and doing behind a fake account. That's like the saddest thing somebody can do. Imagine being a bully like that. But that person is a super weak, insecure little person that has to fire something out because they probably have been bullied themselves. Those are the weak people, the ones who don't care. The real ones, they just go in your face and they say it. And sometimes it's not bad to hear from a kid that's overweight that you're fat. Oh, you can't say it? No, it's what they call, you go to the doctor and you ask the doctor, what is that stuff called between your skin and your muscle? And he goes, that's fat. Okay, so you're fat. And David Goggins, when you read his book, I mean, that guy is insane. I mean, I thought I was crazy, but that's next level stuff. But he said exactly that about it. He says, as soon as I call myself fat, that's when I started working on it. And that's how you treat yourself. And also, if you eat and you can't stop eating and you have a family, you're very prideful. You're very selfish. Oh, what is he saying now? Yeah, but if you really think about it, you are. Because you're taking years of your life. You put yourself in a bad health. We had a family member, very heavy. She was constantly saying, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, I'm not worried about that at all. You can be gigantic. I love you. It's about your health. I'm afraid with your health, it takes years of your life. You're not going to see your kids around as long as you. I want you to enjoy you for as long as I can. Please do it for that, And if you can't stop, and you have kids, well, you see, on that part, you're selfish because you think food is more important than your family is. Yeah, but it's easy for you to say, boss, because you can eat whatever you want and you don't gain. Yeah, I got that quality. But you put about a figure 10 beers in front of my face. That's a different story. I would love to drink those. I don't do. Because I do, and also now I don't anymore, because that's the thing about saying no to your vices, right? It takes time and it's hard, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes to say no, and once you do that, constantly saying no, now it becomes a habit, and then you're out of it, now you're used to it. But yes, in the beginning, it's going to be hard, but like I said, you get stronger and stronger, and now it's like, I don't even want it. If I see people drunk, I'm laughing. I'm having the greatest time, but I don't even like the feeling anymore. The out of control being feeling. You see, so they can do that also. The person I just talked about lost 100 pounds.
Wow.
100 pounds, 45 kilos. So it's possible, right? You're just going to have to put your mark in it. And everybody can do it. We're nothing special. Everybody's human. But the way the world is treating it and petting everything down and making it nice. It's okay. It's okay. Of course, they want you to be like that. Don't speak up. Sit on your phone. Just order stuff. Get the phone away. How do you look like this, boss? Oh, he's on TRT. He said, yes, I use TRT. I said, but if you're under the age of 45 or 50, you'll probably have a higher level than I have, because I go up to 700 with TRT because I crushed mine from a pill addiction. And then it's a long story, but I had literally 5. Not 500, 5. They've never seen anything like it before. So I needed to have it. I have also a leaking heart valve. So that's actually, it's really bad for your heart if you have too low testosterone, because then it has to work way, way harder. So every person who's pointing and they're freaking sitting there, they're all gassed out all day long, they're sitting on their phones and stuffing food in their phone. The first thing they do if they see a healthy person, oh, it's TRT. I go, well, your levels are actually higher than mine. Because every person has higher levels than mine, because I keep mine very low. I don't want that feeling. I just want to feel good, good enough. And that's it. But now let's see what I do for it. You don't wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Spend out the first 45 minutes. Oh, that's my time for God. And it's for meditation. It's for all that. I walk the dogs. While I'm walking the dogs, I use my O2 trainer for 5 minutes because it's an enclosed park here. But it's very early in the morning. Then I come back and take a big shake. It's all proteins and all healthy stuff. There's no sugars, no nothing. Then I start working a little bit. Then I have my first workout. After my first workout, I jump in the sauna. After the sauna, then I go shower. And then my real day starts, But then, I make my own food, my real food. Don't buy processed food. Start living like that and start cutting things out that are bad for you. And you're all going to look like, I can change you in 2 months. It doesn't matter if you're 60 pounds overweight. I can change you in 2 months if you live like I live. And then if you really want to boost, well, first let's see what your testosterone level actually is, because it's above 1200. You don't need it, But if it's low, and sometimes it happens with these people that get lower and lower because they're so out of shape, go to the doctor and they check your blood. They do everything by the book, And then the trick is not to get addicted to that, because then I have to say, when I have my testosterone level of 5, they give me the first shot. That's when I go, okay, now I know why everybody's using that stuff. It was like 2.5, 3 weeks. I was like superhuman. I go, dude, this is so crazy. But I was walking around with 5. Women have 70 or 80. I had 5. He couldn't believe. He says, when a guy goes below 100, he can't go out of bed. I don't know how you're walking it out. I said, I drink a lot of freaking coffee.
I had a great guy on the podcast. His name is JP Donnell. He's a former Navy SEAL, retired. He works for Jocko Willink at Echelon Front. And I went to this seminar. It was about 300 of the biggest, scariest Massachusetts state police officers, EMT, like these were like the tough guys. And he said in a room full of those guys exactly what you're saying. He said when he got out of the SEALs, his testosterone was so shot that he couldn't be the father he wanted, couldn't be the husband he wanted. His second or third marriage was about to fall apart, and he got his hormones and his levels checked. And it was because of that decision that led him to re-engaging with his life, quitting all the bad stuff, going back to church, and turned his entire life around. So really, really grateful for you sharing that here. And I'm sure a lot of guys need to hear it.
It's a big change. It's a big change if you just live by the principles that you're supposed to live like. And life is hard, should be hard. It's like David Goggins. Live 10% like him, and you're good. I mean,
well, the guys we will end it on that, my friend. If there's any way that I could be of service to you in your business career, or if you are launching products or books, please call on me so that I can help you spread the good word. And just wanted to say a personal thanks for the years of entertainment that you've provided across fighting, media, movies, and all the rest. Really proud of the work you do and really grateful for your time today.
Thank you, man. It's every time I ask myself, I go, imagine I would have known when somebody would have told me when I was 12. That's been going through my head the last 4 weeks, because with all the movie screenings and with The Rock and with Emily Blunt, you go like, dude, this is so cool. It's wild.
That's so cool. I mean, that is just so cool. Well, one more time, I just wanted to let everybody know that they could find the O2 Trainer at the letter O, the number 2 trainer.com to support Bas. And if you haven't already, go check out The Smashing Machine in theaters now. Bas?
And just to make sure I knew this was going to happen, I have 02 Trainer too. Because I knew people were going to make the mistake.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thanks, Jordan.
Hey, great to see you, and thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you.